We welcome you to this session on prevention of sexual harassment in the workplace to help take a step towards that direction. In our today's discussion, we will begin by defining sexual harassment and understanding its types and the impact of sexual harassment. We will also learn about complaint procedures and legal consequences. But first, let us reiterate what the Prevention of Sexual Harassment in Workplace Act says in its section 3.1. No woman shall be subjected to sexual harassment at any workplace. And we are strongly committed to this. Let us start by understanding what exactly constitutes harassment. It means the behavior of making unwelcome and inappropriate sexual remarks or physical advances in a workplace or any other professional or social situation. It includes a demand or request for sexual favors, any unwelcome physical advances, sexually colored remarks, verbal/non-verbal conduct being sexual in nature, and showing pornography. When we go deeper into the definition of sexual harassment as per the law, it includes direct or indirect promise of preferential treatment in her employment, or direct or indirect threat of detrimental treatment in her employment, or direct or indirect threat about present or future employment status, interference with the work, creating an intimidating, offensive or hostile environment for her, and humiliating treatment which could lead to affect her health and safety. The aggressor or harasser in this case can be anyone like a victim's supervisor, an agent of the employer, a supervisor from another area or department, a co-worker, or even a non-employee in the workplace. The victim could also be anyone who is affected by such an unwelcome sexually offensive conduct which interferes with their performance and creates an intimidating or hostile environment to work in. Let us go in depth and understand the various types of sexual harassment that can occur in a workplace. The first is the physical, which can include physical violence, rape or attempted rape, physical contact such as unwelcome touching, patting, stroking, grabbing, pinching and hugging, blocking someone's path with the purpose of making a sexual advance. You may be able to understand better with these images, where you can see someone making sexual advances or demanding sexual favors, threatening adverse consequences on raising objections or resisting such advances, such as I will stop your promotion or I will get you fired from the job, or hugging or touching on some pretext, making excuses to touch. Another form of sexual harassment can be verbal, which includes commenting on the worker's appearance, age, private life, etc., making sexual comments, stories or jokes, explicit or implicit sexual advances, repeated unwelcome social invitations, insults based on the sex of the worker, condescending or paternalistic remarks, telling lies or spreading rumors about the person or personal life or sex life. This could be like using gender-based insults or singing embarrassing film songs to tease the person, or cracking jokes which can lead to awkwardness or embarrassment for the victim. Sexual harassment can also be non-verbal, which includes displaying sexually explicit or suggestive material, sexually suggestive gestures, staring, stalking, whistling, etc., unwanted emails. This could be like making obscene gestures or using indecent language such as whistling or staring, displaying pornographic material at the workplace, quid pro quo. In Latin, this means this for that. Engaging in a give and take kind of a relationship is also sexual harassment. This can include a supervisor or employment agent offering job benefits in exchange for sexual favors, such as offering promotion, employment, or salary increase. Also, it includes the threat of losing job benefits on the rejection of such advances. Threatening them of a tangible employment detriment is also sexual harassment. In the new age of internet, cyberbullying is also emerging as a way to harass and threaten individuals. Cyberbullying also constitutes a sexual harassment where it can include sending unsolicited or threatening emails, encouraging others to bully the person online, sending viruses, spreading rumors online, sending negative messages directly, or copying the victim online by making a fake profile. All of these can be a part of cyberbullying. These actions have a very strong impact on the victim. It can lead to emotional, physical, behavioral, and other various very deeply saddening impacts. It can lead to depression, self-doubt, feeling of isolation, anger, physical pain, headache, stress-related ailments, decrease in work performance, absenteeism, etc. The consequence occurs through humiliation, gossip, and can lead to legal impact. Thus, in order to prevent such acts, there is a clear national legal system which has enacted the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act in 2013. This law clearly states the employer's responsibility, where the employer is required to create and communicate a detailed policy, ensure awareness and orientation on the issue, constitute a complaint committee, ensure that complaint committee is trained in skill and capacity, prepare annual reports to be submitted to the district officer, and always report to the director's office. The complaint committees are of two types. One is the internal complaint committee, which is created within the organization at every site. The composition of this ICC has to be 50% women, which includes a chairman, 2 members, and a member from NGOs or associations committed to the cause of women. At the district level, the district officer is required to constitute a local complaint committee, which will also include 50% women with a chairman, members, and an ex officio member who is a concerned officer dealing with social welfare of women and child development in the district. It is important for us to understand the functions of ICC, which include creating awareness and sensitizing the employees about this issue, forming a proper redressal mechanism to address any complaints and inquire about them. The ICC also does quasi-judicial functions of summoning and enforcing attendance, calling for evidence and documents. So what can victims do? The first step is to speak up at the time. If you're asked to go to places, do things, respond to questions, or engage in any situation that makes you uncomfortable, say no very clearly and firmly without worrying about any consequences. If such actions happen to you, always keep records. If you're sent messages, take screenshots. If you have mails, keep a record of any offensive material at the workplace. Write down the dates, times, and frequency of offensive encounters, and always try to find out and write down the name of any witnesses. Talk to someone you can trust. Being quiet or tolerant about sexual harassment gives it space and opportunity to continue. Talk to others such as co-workers, union members, family members, or friends, whoever you can trust. If you are the victim of any offensive act, it is very important for you to report to the internal committee. The report should be a written document which includes the name of the contravener, the complaint, date, time, location of the action, working relationship between the parties, and name and addresses of any witnesses. Make 6 copies of the same and submit it to the internal committee. In case of physical assault or rape, always get a medical checkup. This is very important should you decide to pursue a legal case. So how do you file a complaint? Firstly, any aggrieved woman can make in writing a sexual harassment complaint to the complaints committee. If there is no internal complaint committee, then you can also file it with the local complaint committee in your district. You need to file this complaint within 3 months of the date of the incident. If they are repeated incidents, the last incident that occurred, from that you have 3 months to file this complaint. Who can file the complaint? The woman herself, who is a victim, can file the complaint. In case they are physically or mentally incapable, their relative, friend, special educator, etc. can file such a complaint. In any other case, any person who has the information about the incident and the written consent of the woman can file such a complaint. Once the complaint is filed, it goes through a process of conciliation where both parties are spoken to and we try to arrive at a agreement. In case of severe conduct, internal complaint committee or local complaint committee will form a report of inquiry. Once the report of inquiry is taken, they can take action for the misconduct or they can take no action as per a case-to-case basis. In case of false complaint, punishment can also be taken by the ICC. It's important to follow some rules while understanding the complaint procedure. A written complaint has to be filed within 3 months of the incident. The inquiry by the ICC or LCC has to be completed within 90 days. The report of the inquiry will be submitted within 10 days of the completion of inquiry. Employer has to take the action within 60 days of the committee report. Any appeal against the decision of the committee is allowed within 90 days of the date of recommendations to go to an appellate court. There are multiple Indian laws and legal measures available for the victim, and we must be very aware of these. For example, The IPC 354, which is against assault or criminal force to a woman with the intent to outrage her modesty. The punishment for such an act includes 2 years of imprisonment or fine or both. The IPC 354A section specifically deals with sexual harassment and includes a punishment of imprisonment up to 5 years or fine or both. We also have the IPC 294, which specifically deals with obscene acts and songs, and the consequence of showing such offensive material can lead to a jail time of 3 months or fine or both. IPC 509, which includes using words or gestures intended to insult the modesty of a woman, which can lead to an imprisonment up to an year or fine or both. We must be aware of these legal measures in case we have to file a complaint. What about if you're a bystander? How can you be an upstander and support to help prevent sexual harassment in a workplace? Firstly, if you see something, say something. Interrupt the action. If you see someone behave in an unacceptable way, call them out, interrupt them. Point out unacceptable behavior. Speak up and point out the wrong behavior of anyone doing such an act. Reach out and support the victim. Talk to the victim with empathy, make them feel comfortable and supported. In order to stop this cycle of sexual harassment, you must also reflect on your own actions. Are you an aggressor, a victim, a supporter, or a defender? Think back. It's very important for you to reflect back on your own behavior. Think of a time where you were in a situation that involved harassment. Did you see someone get harassed or face inappropriate actions yourself? How did you react at that time? If given a chance, what would you do differently to be part of a solution and make the workplace safer? Take some time to think back on these. Meanwhile, it is very important for you to understand what can you do. Always be professional. Remember to set a positive example for yourself. Think before making any personal comments. Be supportive of the people who wish to talk about being sexually harassed. Be empathetic while listening to them. Direct them to the appropriate authorities. Hold the harasser accountable for his actions. Don't make excuses for him. Demand that the harassment be stopped. Report sexual harassment to the responsible person in the organization. One of the most important things to remember is to say something whenever you see something, because the chain starts with you. Let's make a safe workplace for all of us. Thank you.